This is my server, but it's a really big
so
one.
this is it.
It's
this is all. It is, as I said, it's very, very easy. The hard work has already been done for you in these templates, so you just need to replace your images, replace your text. Maybe you can change the color scheme if you want to, but this is all it. I hope it was useful for you. If you are new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button, and we will see you in the next video. Thanks, bye. What's going on, people? Welcome to GFX Sketcher. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to edit and customize After Effects templates. For this video, I've picked up an opener template from Envato Elements, and we will edit and customize this. Envato Elements is a place where you can get unlimited stock videos, templates, photos, and much more for After Effects. And
repeat the question. So the question is if we do groupings for certain entities, like the German government, which is selling stuff. The answer is no. And I mean, of course, I'm not like the technical guy. I don't write the software. I'm not saying what should be in the software. I'm the server guy. I'm doing ops, so I'm looking after the servers in the network. But yeah, I know Bitcoin, so so I'm not speaking for Mempool Space themselves. But what I understand and what I feel for the project is that you only want to show what is certain. So everything that you see here is like 100% certain. There's no, oh, this could be an address, or this address could be related to something else. And you get to a certain point of uncertainty. Also, if you look at the Lightning Explorer, it only shows channels. You could actively probe the Lightning Network and could estimate how the channels are. That would be an option to have that, but we decided against that because it's not clear that the channel is in this state, and we only want to provide public information. So yeah, but so there are other websites which does that. I don't know if we do something like that in the future. It's more like show facts. Yeah. So also if you click on a transaction and you see okay, it's sequid, it doesn't use taproot, it's seen, it's per size. What is that? Oh, interesting. This is like a accelerated one. Yeah. Anyhow, here's many things. So other questions, or I have some examples. Maybe you want to see some examples. Let's see what we have. Oh, question? No. Let's see what's interesting, what's good for the road. I mean, it's always funny or interesting to see the famous transaction which comes where the pizza day is coming from, where Laszlo paid someone to send him pizza. Is it? No. Where did I click? Or maybe I mislabeled that. See, oh, I'm prepared. No, it is. Yeah, it's interesting. Like seeing it. So many inputs. What is it? Yeah, but yeah, it was 10,000 Bitcoin, not Satoshis. So yeah, he needed to use many inputs to get it. That sum. And interesting is it uses the old legacy format, and you see it's address reuse here. So it's many UTXOs, unspent transaction outputs, are used to pay for the transaction and all the same address. So in the beginning there was just maybe possibly he mined on that address. So you can also click on the address and then we see some stuff about this address. So balance, and you can see what happened on the transaction. Maybe it's more interesting what happened in the past. So yeah, this is basically you can browse stuff. And this is also an interesting transaction to keep the flow going. It doesn't have an address, so the input. It's before they were addresses, they were just public keys, and some that also plays in that direction. So we don't show what the address. So you could compute the address from this public key and show just the address, and there are no questions. Oh, it's just an address. But this is not right. The wallet that was used never knew about addresses. It was just spent, paid, or mined on a public key address, if you can say that's an address. So we show this And people always ask, is it broken or something, because it doesn't show as address. But that's the old format. See, what else do we have? Oh yeah, we can do the empty block, which is always an interesting question, and there's even not a super simple answer, because there's still discussion why this happens. So, so basically, you see the expected block was many transactions. The actual block, it's just empty, except one, the Coinbase transaction. You need the Coinbase transaction. You also see that here, so yeah.
And we don't know why that happens. I mean, it could just be, if I ran mining, I would just always mine an empty block at the same time as the legit block. And whichever one I found first, I would throw on.
So the thing is, you want to mine, I mean, this is like way back, there was not, the subsidy was higher, if I'm correct. Is it no, subsidy is not that high. So it would be much, so all the transaction fees from there are missing, so you leave money on the table.
But if I'm mining that block and an empty block at the same time, why not run them in parallel and then just...
No. We need to go to an explanation why it happens. So it's not like somebody decides, oh, we just do empty blocks, why not? So they are the first explanation is, and then there are some details. The first explanation is you can also like click on this. We have a text about why it happens. But shortly, it's if there's a block found and from another mining pool, and you're looking at pool level, the pool decides what's in the block. If you see there is a new block from another mining pool, you see that there's a new block. You get the block header, but you don't know which transaction is in there. So you can't construct a new block template to mine on. Let's show something to that. So if you're here, this is basically what you want. You click. This is basically what you try to find, but you can't include any transaction because you don't know if the transaction is in the block that was found. So you don't know what's in the block. You only know that there is a block, and then if you include something that is in the block afterwards, if you find out, then your block is invalid. So you can't. You just and it's 100% sure to have an empty block because then you can't include something and make the block illegal. So that's the first answer. But there's an additional answer is why there are so many, because this is like split a few seconds, not a second. It's like very fast to find out what's in the block because there are optimizations in Bitcoin. You don't need to send the whole 4 megabytes in the worst case. But there was found out that Antminer was really taking long to switch to a new workload on the miners itself. So this is also additionally playing into why there are empty blocks found. And if you found an empty block, you at least get the subsidy. So it makes no sense to not send it. So yeah, if you found some, you get at least something. And it also makes no sense to give the miners no workload, because you can't like stop mining. So you want to have it running all the time. So yeah, that's convoluted explanation why there are empty blocks. In short, it's normal. So it's just happened. But there was some mining pool which had that way more often. So other questions? Otherwise I will look and you can see. Oh, this is like a cool thing. How much time do we have? 5 minutes. Okay, that's not enough. But short explanation. This is something you never should use. It's like super bad. So you put in some text here, like password 1, and then you get an address and can use. It generates the private key directly from the text, and there are many people who have this running and trying to find out about addresses. But why do I explain this? It's because there was an interesting thing happening. Which time was that? 2015. Somebody sent many small, very small, like only, let's switch to Satoshis to see this. And yeah, it's dust. Wait. Oh, sorry. No. Where's the... Oh yeah, I'm done. Yeah, you can click here and then you can switch to Satoshis, dollars, and so on. Okay, Satoshis. It's like 1,000 Satoshis. So if you want to use this unspent transaction output, then it would be more expensive to send it somewhere. So it doesn't make any sense. But some mining pool, I think we can also see which F2 pool decided, oh, I grab all this because coming back, why does F2 pool can spend this transaction? It's because it used password 1 and in this brain wallet generator. So password 1 and it came up with exactly this. Maybe I miswrote. I don't know. Put password 1 in here. Oh yeah, password 1, and you see 19 VA and so on. And so we have the private key for these addresses. But you as a user doesn't make sense. But as a miner, you can just include that and pay no fee, or pay a huge amount of fee because you get the fee as a mining pool. So, and it's very interesting that this is like a transaction that is before they were SegWit. So it's 1 megabyte. The full block is just one big transaction. Okay, it's actually 2 transactions. There's a Coinbase. Let's look at the block. So at the block you see there are two transactions. There's the Coinbase, the normal one, where you get some Bitcoin out, and then there's one big transaction which has like over 5,000, nearly to 6,000 inputs, which is all the same input, and consolidated it. So, yeah, question?
Yeah, but they waste block space that they could use to earn fees. So the cost is the same.
Yeah, I don't know. They got at least this, but yeah, I think a normal block would be more profitable. Yeah.
But there we come to this point of we come to the point of the empty blocks, right? So if I am a miner and I'm basically in the moment, just this millisecond, waiting for the new block template, I could have basically there sitting already a block template with all the dust, and I just put the block full of dust and my Coinbase transaction, and I get a little bit more. The only thing would be, I think, that it's not your dust. So probably there needs to be an outside system where you can basically trade dust to miners, and then they can use it in empty block situations. So maybe maybe a little off, but maybe there's a penny to make.
Yeah, interesting point. So you could include something in this block which you're 100% certain that nobody else knows of. Then you're safe. So that would be a way, yeah. But then we're going more to the direction where the mining pool have some secret mempool that they have with their transactions, which seems to be the way where we're going, sadly. So, yeah. Okay, I think I'm close to the end, but there's one thing, funny thing to show is there's always the discussion is there the mempool or a mempool or my mempool, your mempool? So actually every mempool a Bitcoin Core runs is slightly different. And what does mempool space does? So the answer is there's not one mempool space, there are many. So we're running a bunch of servers, and all the servers have their own mempool. They are directly connected, so they're close to the same, but there are some slight differences. So this is like a huge long list. You can find it on biz.biz. Biz is one of the main people on Bitcoin. On Bitcoin too, on mempool space. And yeah, so you see like this is Frankfurt, for example, and there are many servers that are in production and scaling. And if there is a block, maybe you can wait. If there is a block, you can see that even like the block when it is received is not exactly the same time. So there's some differences. So even mempool space doesn't have one mempool, it has a bunch. So I think thank you for the attention.
Okay, thank you very much, Enzi. And the next talk will be by Ben Ark. He's going to speak about Nostr, so applause for him, please.
It's great to be back in Mallorca. It's one of my favourite conferences. It's such a great event for exchanging ideas. I was very excited to hear that Christian Muxel and the Blitz team are going to be working on NixBlitz, because I think NixBlitz is obviously the ultimate node solution, so I was really glad to hear about that. And then also great to hear from MC and Mempool.space. I too would like a live version of Mempool.space, which is just doing like basic Bitcoin stuff. Because we use it a lot in Elements, Mempool.space. It's a great application. It's the best application for getting block data and stuff. But a lot of the stuff in there we don't really need. So like a live version of some stuff cut out would be really nice. Anyway, on with the talk. So I'm going to talk about Nostr. Loads of other stuff transmitted by relays. I did a talk in Prague more recently on why I like. How do I do this? You probably isn't it? No. More confused because I'm a slideshow. Thank you very much. Because I had to go for like a low resolution to throw me off. So I did a talk in Prague on why I like Bitcoin, why I like Nostr, and why I have chosen, and I think a lot of them have chosen to dedicate a lot of our time to these things. For me, so Bitcoin and Nostr, they're these spaces, these digital commons where anyone can go and operate and do stuff. You can make free open source projects, you can make companies, but there's an inherent drive to nurture that environment and make that environment grow. So when we talk about commons, just a traditional commons, what is a commons? A commons is just an environment where people share the resources and they're incentivized to encourage those resources to flourish. And I feel that's what we have in Bitcoin. I feel it's what we also have in Nostr. I was looking into Wealth of Nations, Adam Smith's Wealth of Nations, and actually, when he talks about the invisible hand in Wealth of Nations, it's on the British industrialists at that time that they had vested interest in the environment of the UK, which is where they lived, to improve the conditions of Britain. Even if they were just psychopaths and just were entirely, entirely for their own interest, then just for security, they should improve the conditions of Britain and the place in which they live. Hegel, who was a student of Adam Smith, then when I was talking about single geist, which is kind of the spirit of your own spirit, but then also the spirit of kind of a group of people who are all working on something together. And I think that Bitcoin has that geist, has this kind of like the spirit of Bitcoin, the spirit of Nostr. So what is the spirit of Bitcoin, what is the spirit of Nostr? It's that we all want those things to grow and flourish and be healthy spaces where we can all take advantage of the resources, but in a way where we contribute back to those resources. So a lot of us who work in this area, they feel this urge that they need to contribute back to Bitcoin and back to Nostr. And it's just something which I found, I have an interest in that as those spaces as digital commons. So Nostr, for those who don't know, it's a very simple system. It's a paradigm shift in the way we can send data over the internet. we're used to an internet. Well, an internet has evolved over time, which has very smart servers and very dumb clients, which empowers the server administrators, whoever's running those servers. If you think about Twitter or Facebook or something, if we're looking at social media, then people power those servers, people control those servers, they control the users effectively, and there's a lot of, and then they create these walled gardens which people can access, but there's a cost to accessing them, because obviously they need to make money on those services. Well, Nostr kind of flips that idea on its head and has smart clients and very dumb servers. So in Nostr, all we have is just some relays, and then our clients, we just transfer the data to relays, and other clients, other users pull down that data. So how is this possible? It's possible because we use something called public key cryptography. So public key cryptography is something we're all used to in Bitcoin. It's how Bitcoin works, it's how we manage our addresses, it's how we manage our Bitcoin wallets. And it empowers us. It empowers us to become our own banks. It empowers us to have control over our own data. And it also does the same thing. Again, in the social media context, as I'm going to talk on a little bit further, that Nostr extends far beyond things like just social media. But social media clients on Nostr, you have a public key, private key. People can subscribe to tweets, notes, things you post using your public key, and then you sign a note, push it up to the relay. If I subscribe to that public key, I pull it down, I'm like, okay, Ben definitely made that note because he signed it with his private key. And then we get into all the same issues to track Bitcoin, which is key management and all those sorts of things. But thankfully, as Bitcoiners are very good at things like key management, and that's just essentially how it works. And we can use it for social media, and as we've seen with Jack Dorsey's support, as he's moved away from Twitter, he's pumped a lot of funds into creating this idea of a decentralized social network, of a decentralized Twitter. I actually made the first Twitter clone on Nostr a good few years ago, and Fusion, who's also here, we worked on the DM part of that client, where we could send DMs to one another as well. And we basically just wanted to have something which looked exactly like Twitter and operate like Twitter, and just to say, look, this, I mean, it's very, very buggy, and it wouldn't probably run now because there's too many users on Nostr. But we just wanted to say, look, you can have this style of communication without having this big corporation and things like Spencer's capitalism and all these evil algorithms which pushes in one direction or the other. Clients on Nostr. So we have got one client on Nostr. We haven't just replaced, as I said, I created the first Twitter kind of client, but there's dozens of Twitter clients on Nostr made by all sorts of people. Some of them are free open source projects, some of them are companies. And you can run those clients, you can download them onto your phone. I use a client called Amethyst on Android, and I find it very, very, very good. And the way in which we can, so if you think about Twitter and Facebook, they're not sharing data. When you're in Twitter and you're making posts, or in Facebook and you're making posts, that becomes the commercial property of those platforms, which kind of sucks because they act like a commons. The way I like to think of it is a walled garden, a worldwide walled garden, and then over time you start to realise, well, I can actually control this data, I can't pull this data out if I want to. It's the actual, the corporate owned data of the company, of Twitter. There's that old adage that if you're getting something for free, it's probably because you're the product. So all that happens is something like Twitter and a Twitter platform, whereas with Nostr, we have these things called NIPs, which are Nostr Improvement Possibilities, which means that as long as these different clients abide by a certain collection of NIPs, we can share data. So I can create a Nostr client now, and I can have access, so I think our Nostr is about 600,000 users at the moment. I can have access to those 600,000 users straight away. They can start using my client. And I'm going to go into a little bit more detail about the evolution of clients and where I think it's probably going to be heading. Because we have basically at the moment lots of kind of Twitter-ish looking clones, people trying to replicate Twitter, but I think that'll probably change. So Nostr is possible because a few magic ingredients. There's NIPs, there's these interoperable standards, which as long as the software which is built on Nostr are abiding by, they can share data. It's just like Bitcoin. So in Bitcoin, you can have lots of different Bitcoin clients, and as long as they use the same bits, then they can operate in the same way, they can share the same data, be part of the same network. So Nostr is the same. We have a resilient architecture. So Nostr itself, during COVID, I was really interested in, so this is my own connection to Nostr and what I was quite excited about when it came out, was during COVID I was very interested in peer-to-peer trade and how you can have peer-to-peer trade which can't be censored. And I was trying to work out like the best solution for that. When you look at, and I think dark markets, although I'm not 100% I agree with dark markets, I think they're a very interesting computer science problem to solve. How can you have people trading with one another in a way which isn't able to be censored or isn't able to be captured? And I really like the model of Pirate Bay. I was thinking Pirate Bay just continues to exist, but it's easy to spin up Pirate Bay. So then it was like, okay, well if you could have marketplaces which were easy to spin up, which were resilient, that if you took down part of the apparatus, part of the architecture of that marketplace, then it'd be easy to spin up things which would continue to support it. So in my mind, there would be like a client which would be a shop front, and then there would be the merchant who would have all their stuff on like a market stall, and then they would use PubKey cryptography to sign those items, and then at that time I was like, okay, you push it to the front end web store, yeah? And then the front end web store would show all those products to the merchants as well. And then if you took out that front end web store, it doesn't really matter because the front end web store itself is just free open source, and you can just spin it up by spin it up on a GitHub.io page. That was my own kind of like idea of tackling that problem. Me and Fitch have worked on this together, and then later, about 6 months later, then Nostr came out, and some of those principles which were behind Diagonal, the marketplace thing we made in our software project we worked on a bit, some of those principles were carried on into Nostr. So yeah, there's a few things I can cover there. We were working on the software called Alabits, which I still work on now, and this was one of the extensions which we built in Alabits just to show that it was not possible to have like a censorship-resistant marketplace. So I was instantly like hooked in on Nostr. I was like, okay, so I have like an interest in this thing succeeding, and I understand the principles behind it because some of those principles were in this extension which we worked on together. So the magic ingredients which make Nostr possible is resilient architecture. It's very, very hard to take down. I need to backtrack. Sorry. So I explained how our marketplace solution would work. But the way it works now in Nostr, as I said before, was actually have these relays as well. So the relays are what you push the data up to, and then other clients can pull that data down. So we've actually made a new version of the marketplace on Nostr, which I'll show you in a little while, and it's being used, and it's amazing. It solves that problem, which is incredible. It solves the problem of censorship-resistant marketplaces. In that, you do have a stall of products, you sign those products, but instead of pushing it to that front-end web shop, you push it up to the relay, and then the web shop is subscribed to your public key, and it pulls down those products. So all the web shop need to do is subscribe to 100 or so different public keys for different merchants, and then suddenly that shop client starts to populate with all this data. I'm actually going to skip off this for a second, and I'll check because I've got all the marketplaces up, to be honest. Yeah, here we are. So here's our marketplace, which looks a bit better. There we go. So here's our marketplace client, which is just pulling down products from different merchants. I've got some internet issues if you see a couple of pictures which are missing there. And it works just like a marketplace. You buy a product, it goes into your cart, and then you pay for Bitcoin, of course. It's quite amazing that this is just a dumb front-end client. It hasn't got server software or anything. And we're just we're just asking to buy something, signing a note saying, can we buy it? The merchant saying yes, sending back an invoice, you're paying the invoice, and the merchant saying, okay, I'm going to ship it now. And there's also a communication part in this marketplace while we keep communicating with one another. So yes, you can build social networks, but also, as you can see, we've built a marketplace. Another great marketplace using our NIT 15 for marketplaces is plugin.market. Again, I've got real internet issues, so the pictures aren't loading properly. Let's see if I can refresh it, that might work. Plugin.market is great, and they're also using NIT 15. And there's a couple of other marketplaces as well out there which I haven't gone into here right now. So yes, back to where I was. So slideshow. Start current slide. Okay. So resilient architecture. If you try and, there's no real reason to take out the front end web shop clients because all it is like a dumb framework, and it's up to whatever. If you're going to subscribe to vanilla merchants selling vanilla stuff, then that's what's going to get populated in that piece of software. But if you're going to subscribe to something which might be forbidden in your country, then that'll be pulled down into that software. So in a way, it's kind of like a web browser. In a web browser is a dumb piece of software, and it's really up to you where you're going to look at stuff on that web browser. And that's how the marketplace, that's how all Nostr clients kind of work. Like the content you get depends on the public keys of the people you're subscribing to. Well, it's a resilient architecture, raw public key cryptography. And when I say raw because it's really interesting. So Nostr comes from the Bitcoin community, right? And obviously Nostr isn't Bitcoin, and it attracted a lot of people outside of the Bitcoin community. And they said certain things when they came in, some very like Rabble, like one of the first employees of someone of Twitter. And some very accomplished developers, right? And they came over like, okay, the first thing we need is we need a foundation to keep the protocol honest. And then all those Bitcoiners were like, no. This is our first rodeo, we've done this before. And I'm thankful that Bitcoiners are the ones who kind of led the charge on developing and keeping this protocol honest, because we've learned from all those mistakes over all the years, and we know that things like foundations are very good. And actually, public key cryptography is great, and people need to get control of public key cryptography. So one of the other things they wanted, the people who came into Nostr who weren't Bitcoiners are like, well, let's obfuscate the public key cryptography side, people having to manage a private key, and then give people a public key. Let's obfuscate it through a login system, like a traditional login system. And it's like, no. People are smart enough. If they can like figure out what a username and password is, then people can learn what a public key is. You can share that with everybody. And a private key, you need to keep that super safe. Don't let anyone have it. If they do, they have control of your data. They have control of your Bitcoin. They have control of your social media profile, for example. People can learn that. People aren't idiots. And on a side note, I do think that as captures get too hard and passwords get too insane, the world is going to have to become comfortable with using public key cryptography, because it solves those problems in a very neat solution. So the rest of the world will get used to custom public key cryptography. It's necessary. The way in which we log into stuff and prove that we're human currently, and prove that I am me on the internet, it's a bit goofy, and it's just kind of like, it's been developed by people who try to hide the proper solution, which is public key cryptography. Dumb servers. It's important we keep the servers dumb. We just have them as relays, relaying data from one client to another. Again, lots of people came in and they're like, okay, well, let's have this on the server, this on the server. The relays, you can have more complicated relays if you want to, but in order for this thing to work, we need to keep those relays dumb and easy to spin up as well. So as I said before, there's no point taking down clients because they're just basically a browser for data, and how it populates depends on what public keys you subscribe to. And there's if you take down a relay, for example, these things are just really easy to spin up. We have an extension in our software, bits, which is which is a relay extension, and in that I can spin up a relay and then have it live. Oh, where are we? I lost a relay. I can spin up a relay and then have it run live in like a couple of minutes. And I can spin up multiple relays, and I can, if I want to, so, traditional things which were, oh, that's a shame. Traditional, did it just sort of turn back on before we saw the, oh yeah. Traditional things we've gotten used to in things like social media, like people storing our data forever. We shouldn't take this for granted in Nostr, because obviously someone has to store that data, and the great, us not having all our data surveilled and then sold stuff which we don't really want, and then pushed in different directions politically through these horrible algorithms. The byproduct of that is we do get to store our data for free forever on platforms like Twitter and Facebook. Whereas in Nostr, we shouldn't take that as a given because someone needs to pay to store that data. So anyway, in the relay extension, if you spin up a relay, you can actually charge people for data as well, which is pretty cool per megabyte. So you can charge people's public keys. You say, look, I'm going to store your data on here, but I want you to pay me directly or to store that data. And you can have an hour balance, those sorts of things. Anyway, so we have a relay extension for making running relays really, really easy. And there's a bunch of other great software out there made by developers, Nostr developers, for spinning up relays and running relays. So you can either run a relay privately, just for your friends and family or your household, or maybe for your company, or maybe for the whole world if you want to. So you can restrict access to these relay things. Anyway, they're very easy to spin up. And typically, Nostr client connects to like a dozen relays. So even if you did take out one of those relays, then it doesn't really matter because you still connect to another relays. And then someone can just spin up another one and you connect to that as well. So it's very interesting, the resilient architecture of it. While I'm over here in Mitsland, what else have we got for Nostr extensions? So we have a NIP5 extension. We've been doing some work on this extension more recently. So this is currently, so in Nostr you have a public key, and you're giving that to people and saying, okay, this is my public key, you can subscribe to stuff I create using this public key. So you can subscribe to notes I create on something like a Twitter platform, you can subscribe to products which I'm selling. Here's my crazy big long public key. And NIP05, it gives you like like an address, like ben@nostr.com, and then when they hit ben@nostr.com, they get back the public key. So it just means it's a little bit easier, like, oh, if you want my products, go to ben@nostr.com. There's a trade-off, because you are then adding a bit more complexity to server architecture. So if you want, this is why we have the NIP05 extension in Bits, because most people rely upon a provider to give them NIP05 or to forward that NIP05 to their public key. But ideally, you would spin this up and run it yourself. We have the Nostr client extension. The Nostr client extension just speaks Nostr. So it means that it can connect to all of our extensions and other bits, like points of sale, bulk cards, whatever else. And then it can just talk Nostr. So it can send it up into the Nostr land as nodes. And people can get that data or push to that data. So one example someone's built with this is the bulk cards, Lightning tap and pay cards, where you pay for stuff. They made just a bot where in the Nostr, like in Amethyst, I can go to my DMs, I can go to my bulk card, and I can increase the limit spend, and I can decrease the card, those sorts of things. Pretty cool. Nostr Relay, we covered that, and we have some other stuff. Sorry, there's a Nostr Market extension. This is the back end, so for the merchant. So I already showed you the customer front end. This is the client for the merchant that want to sell something on Nostr. And I feel like I'm digressing somewhat. So let's get me back on track by getting my slide back up. Oh, we're already so weird, like being super throwing completely. There we go. Permissionless development environment. If I wanted to build a client for something like Twitter or Amazon, and then pull in all that data, and then use it to communicate over in Twitter or sell stuff over in Amazon, Amazon or Twitter will have something to say about it, because it's a locked-in system. It's a walled garden. It's actually a prison. You don't control that data. They don't want you to control that data. Whereas in Nostr, you have these NIPs. Everything becomes interoperable. You don't need to ask anyone's permission. It's just like Bitcoin. You can build whatever you want. It's like, one of the things we've been using Nostr for more recently, which I'll show you some stuff on in a bit if I don't have time, is IoT. And it sounds ridiculous, like, has there not already been decent free and open source IoT solutions in the world already? There are a few which are pretty good, but they're complicated. They have that curse of knowledge from the developers in that you have to run a piece of server software, open some ports on your network at home in order for the data to get out, in order for you to control and turn on your lights and check the batteries on your solar panels and close your blinds and all the things you do with IoT software and hardware. With Nostr, BC Black Coffee, who works in other bits and has done some great hardware stuff, he's made an Arduino library for Nostr. So I can take a IoT bulb, which has a small microcontroller which costs about $1. That runs its own client, has its own keypad, and then me as the user, I can, on my phone, I've got just a dumb front-end client, and on there I can connect to a relay, I can subscribe to I can connect to the relay, the light bulb subscribes to my public key, and then I just sign a note, a direct message to the light bulb saying, please can you turn on, and the light bulb goes, ding. And honestly, it was so simple and such a satisfying moment for me to finally be able to engage in the IoT world, because I've never gone anywhere near it, because every time you look at the terms and conditions on IoT software on your phone, on those apps, it's awful, it's like Orwellian. It's worse than Orwellian. Even George Orwell didn't predict that we would buy the devices which are going to listen to us and install them in our own houses. So it's very important we take control of hardware and software. And Nostr over IoT just makes sense. And it's even if you built the Nostr paradigm just for IoT, then it would justify the creation of Nostr. So the other thing which we have, I've got it hooked up to my solar panels at home, and then on there I can just ask what the percentage of my batteries, and they'll read that and they'll send it back to me. And we're just DMing each other. Me and my solar panel, me and my light bulb. Very, very simple. So yeah, social media, marketplaces, IoT, Wasabi. So more recently, does anyone know what Wasabi is pretty much? Okay, so for coin mixing services, Wasabi, Samurai got in trouble. Wasabi, I think very justifiably shut down their service before they also got in trouble. And then it's the coordinators of Wasabi. Yeah, the coordinators now are now using Nostr. Because it means that yeah, they decentralized it just by using Nostr. And actually, the creation of the Nostr protocol, again, would be justified just for Wasabi to be able to have coordinators for coin mixing. So yeah, I really like that. There's another use case for Nostr, which is social media, marketplaces, IoT, now we have coin mixing. Nostr Wallet Connect. So,
The problem with Nostr is discovery.
wait there, we'll come to questions in a minute, no problems. So you've thrown me off. Nostr Wallet Connect. So more recently, we have a bounty which is being completed by a developer in Bits, and this is for something called Nostr Wallet Connect, which is made by the Albi guys, Boomi and the Albi guys, and this is a way that you can take a funding source, like a Lightning funding source, like a Node, for example, and then it has a Nostr client, a very simple Nostr client, that's what we got for it, it's script, which you can connect to that node and you can say, you know, what's the balance of my node, and can you send me an invoice please? And again, you're just doing like messaging to your node, and you're just using two separate clients. What it means is, so like in Bits, we spent thousands of hours, right, building all the, so like Bits, the software is like an account system with all these cool extensions, but one of the main purposes of it was to give a common API for people that need developing. So you have all these different funding sources, you've got Lightning nodes, LND, Core Lightning, whatever, you've got custodial solutions, and they all have different REST APIs, and they've all got different ways you communicate with them. So I'm like, well, I don't want to make several versions of the project I'm working on, it's a pain in the ass. I just want to make one product version of that project, so I connect to the Bits API, and then it can just, Bits just talks to whatever funding source is sitting underneath it. Well, with Nostr Wallet Connect, it does that, and instead of us having to maintain, 20 different funding source connectors, and we'll still maintain them, but ultimately it would be nice if we're just using Nostr Wallet Connect for all of them. So, you have Nostr Wallet Connect, a connector for LND, Core Lightning, Eclair, OpenNode, whatever, and then we just connect to Nostr Wallet Connect, and there's one thing, one core piece of software which needs to be maintained and it's got lots of eyes on it. Yeah, I think it's a really nice solution, so well done Boomi and the Albi bunch. So permissions, viable environment, data interoperability. I'm not sure how much time I've got. I'm just going to try and avoid Jed's questions. Just keep going, I'll just keep going ahead. I'm going to avoid Jed's questions by doing some demos. So, because I was early on in Nostr, in the Telegram group, I was like, someone should probably buy Nostr.com. And everyone was like, I can't bother. And I was like, well, yeah, someone should probably secure this thing. So I played with them for about a month or two. There was about 20 of us in the group. And no one bought anything, so I bought it. And actually, I think because it's like a short domain name, it was expensive. It was like $4,000, which at that time was more than a Bitcoin, right? So I bought Nostr.com. And then I got Nostr.org as well, which was like, to secure it, which I think was about $5 or something. I forgot about Nostr.org, and Plain Troll got it. And then I was asking for like 300 grand. And I spent a year and a half or a year haggling it down until eventually I got to a price which wasn't excruciating. It still wasn't the original £5 I spent a little to make, but I managed to get the domain back. So we have Nostr.com, we have Nostr.org. I am an issue because I'm point centralization, I guess. Solana people did offer me $5 million for Nostr.com and I didn't take it. So and also we have built a lot of stuff in Nostr. So I think I maybe proved that I'm okay. But ultimately, it would be nice if something like Nostr.org was owned by, I don't know, OpenSAS or something like that. I'm not sure. That's something we need to look into. I don't know. But for now, I'm just sitting on these things. Nostr.org is just a pure protocol page. Does nothing else. Has a brief intro to what Nostr is. Has a connection to a video on there, which we commissioned. Which just has a very simple breakdown of what Nostr is. In the same sort of style of Bitcoin.org, just pure, simple, nothing corporate in there. It's not working because I think the internet's down there. There's also a bunch, so there's some graphics to try and explain how Nostr works. And then if we go down here, there's a bunch of links to different Nostr clients. These are social networking clients. Also some signing extensions. I need to go into that a little bit more. So, yeah, I'll continue with this and I'll explain those things. Some signing applications as well, some key management applications. So obviously, with Bitcoin, we have hardware wallets. That's the way in which we can manage our Bitcoin keys, our private key. So we're not putting them onto the computer or places where they're going to get stolen. In Nostr, we've done the same thing. So early on in Nostr, me and the Alabits lot, we made the predominantly for Stan, amazing developer who works on Alabits and stuff. We made the Alabits Nostr signing device. So this is a $10 piece of hardware which you put a private key on. It's actually using, so we have an on-chain wallet, like a hardware wallet, DIY hardware thing you can build. And it's like a $10 hardware wallet, which you can build yourself. And it works really well. It's based on that, because obviously they're just keys, aren't they? So I got in contact with Stephenson who maintains uBitcoin, which is the main library we use in our hardware wallet. And we got into our Schnorr keys so we could do Nostr stuff, because of Schnorr. And then we created the Nostr signing device, which was probably my favourite sprint ever, because it was like 2 days and we went through concept to thing which worked and worked really well and was compatible with a bunch of clients in like 2 days, which was crazy. So that was the first Nostr signing device. Since then, I literally tried to Google our own project to try and find a link to the Nostr signing device. Because we have like a web install and have a repo and all that stuff. And then I found it's infinitely bigger when you're running an operating system and you've got like a private key on any computer anywhere. So we want a piece of hardware. So what BC Black Coffee made, and we got a wee demo of it, because it's very new, so this stuff's pretty new. I'm not sure how many people have even seen this, to be honest. Well, this should play there. So we have here, I think this is $13 to make, and it's a hardware NSEC bunker, so this can have your private key on. You have it at home connected to your Wi-Fi, and as long as it's turned on, there's notes on your behalf for you. So it means that you could be on your social networking client, you can be selling stuff from your shop, and you've just got this device somewhere secure, connected to Wi-Fi, at home, you haven't got no kind of private key around your pocket. Obviously, this demo, it looks kind of technical, and it's like, well, normal people are never going to do that, but with a little bit more work, this could be just a device which comes, you flash it, it's quite important you kind of flash software stuff, or maybe you just buy the software flash, anyway, whatever. So, and then, so it becomes like a Trezor or something. You put your private key on there, and your Wi-Fi details, and then it just connects to your Wi-Fi, and then give us a public key. fact that we're pioneering key management in Nosterland, which will be which they definitely will. I got another video. So the other thing we've been working on is bits.com if you want to go buy anything from us. But in that he's updating our ATM project, and this is really cool. So the ATM project, the way we've updated, we've added a printer, but we've also added in the QR code it prints out, you can scan it with a Lightning wallet, it will get the sats, or if you scan it with a normal QR code scan, it will open. You can put in a Lightning invoice, or you can give it an LN address for the Noster people, so then this becomes a Noster ATM. Put some money in, and then, so I'm going to explain this. In Noster we have a NIP for Zaps, which is a way for you to be able to send Bitcoin to another person on Noster. So Noster people like to be able to top up their wallets or whatever, or receive Zaps, sorry, to via their Zaps. So you can do this through the ATM, so we made like kind of a Noster ATM. We also have the nostr.com, and while I didn't have nostr.org, nostr.com was kind of like the protocol page, but now we have nostr.org. I want to kind of put nostr.com to work and make it a little bit easier for people to access Nostr and get things like NIP5s. Ideally, you would run the software yourself, but what we're going to add is just a little bar at the top where you can put in your desired. So we've got a little UI. And then, request a Noster NIP05. You have to log in to manage your thing. And then once you've logged in, you put in your public key. There we go. And then once you put in your public key, that's it, it's connected. So you can have, Ben at lmbits.com, and we'll sell NIP05s and LMBits on, Nostr.com or Nostr.com. For us, we do a lot of Nostr stuff, so we do the NSEC, we've done the NSEC bunker development, the Nostr signing device development, the marketplaces, the marketplace NIP. We're also the ones who are working on all the IT stuff at the moment, so I think it's kind of justified to make a few sats by selling some NIP05s on this good bit of real estate on the internet, which is Nostr.com. We'll also, that relay extension as well, which we have in LMBits, we'll also make it easy. We're just going to use our own extension. This is a great thing. So with the LMBits company and with the Nostr.com, the idea is that everything we do on there feeds back into making LMBits stronger and the software stronger, and it has. So like that NIP05 extension, which we have over here, we've done a ton of more work on this extension.